Hello everyone and welcome to a new cosplay walkthrough video. So today we are doing yet another FNAF related project because the Ruin DLC has come out and it has been all I can think about. FNAF really does come in phases and I'm currently in my third FNAF phase right now and it has been amazing because I have not had a hyperfixation for like most of the year. So it's really nice to have something to like hyperfixate on and just be passionate about again. So that's all really nice. I decided to make a Cassie cosplay just kind of for the heck of it. Like, I wouldn't say like Vanessa is like my absolute favorite character, hands down. Like there's no question about that. I think Cassie is good too, but she's not like my absolute favorite. And I originally didn't think that I would cosplay her, but then I just kind of decided like it would be a fun little project to kind of help with my recent depressive episode and like, you know, just bring me some joy basically, which is what cosplay should do. So that's what I decided to do last week. So I'm gonna walk you guys through the process as usual of like how I put it all together, and it's gonna be great. So let's get into it. For the sweater, I chose this knitted looking fabric because I wanted it to look like an actual sweater, and this fabric happened to be 50% off, so it actually worked out perfectly. For this piece, I am using this Berta 7291 pattern. As you can see, it is a men's pattern, but the only issue ended up being that it was a little bit too long, so I just shortened it, but aside from that, it ended up fitting perfectly, so I'm very pleased with that. Did not have to buy a new pattern, so I just cut all of that out and then sewed the two pieces of the sleeves together since the sleeve comes in two pieces. Then I decided to put the sleeves in using a different method from what I usually do. So I started by pinning and sewing the shoulders of the sweater. And then here, that curved area is the sleeve hole. So I just took the sleeves and pinned them to the sleeve hole. The sleeve ended up being too wide for the sleeve hole for some reason. I have no idea why, but I just ended up cutting the excess off, and before anybody says anything, it totally worked out. There were no issues. I know this is like, it seems like a big no-no, but it ended up being totally fine. Repeated that same process on the other side. Then I sewed the sleeve into the sleeve hole, and then what I'm left with here is the side of the sweater and the sleeve. So I just pinned those up and then sewed along the sleeve and the side of the sweater, and here's what the finished sweater looks like. It fit really well, so I'm really happy about that. Then I just hemmed the sleeves and hemmed the sweater, and then I worked on the ruffles. So I cut 2 strips of fabric and gathered them. And I didn't have to worry about the edges just because the edges don't really fray with this fabric, which is really nice. Pin those to the sweater and then sewed them down. Then I worked on the stars. So at the flower store, they only had this glittery felt, and honestly I thought that was very on brand for Cassie, so I just decided to go with those. And so I printed out some star shapes to use as stencils and just cut out my stars. Then I hand sewed them together and sewed those onto the front of the sweater. Then I worked on the flowers, so very similar thing here. I just drew some flowers onto some white felt, cut a whole bunch of those out, and then sewed those to the sweater. Then for the center of the flowers, I just used these little buttons because I figured that would be easier than trying to use felt or anything. So I just sewed those on. Then I worked on patterning out the collar. So I just traced the neckline of the sweater and then made a little Peter Pan collar pattern. Cut that out of 2 pieces of white fabric. Then I sewed them right sides together, turned the whole thing inside out and pressed it really well. Then I top stitched everything, and then I just sewed that directly to the sweater. Then for the buttons, I decided to take a little bit of an artistic liberty because they had these really cute little flower buttons, and her buttons are canonically just like normal orange buttons, but I thought that the flowers would be very cute, and again, very on brand for Cassie, so I went with those. So just like a little bit of creative license there. Just sewed those on and then cut some buttonholes in the front, again, since this fabric doesn't fray, and that's it for the sweater. So the hair elastics, I just took these beads that I had left over from another project and painted them. I think hers are actually more purple now that I'm looking at the references now, but whatever, it's done. I can't change it. I mean, I could, but I don't want to. Then I just put those on some pieces of elastic and sewed up the elastic, and that's it for the hair pieces. Next, the Roxy Talkie. So what I did is I started off with a actual picture of the Roxy Talkie, which you can get off of Google Images. And I used this not only as a reference, but also as a stencil for all the pieces of the radio. So I started off by tracing the base of the Roxy Talkie and just traced and cut that out of some cardboard. And this is like really lightweight cardboard because that's the only kind that I had, but it ended up actually working really well. So here I am cutting out all the different pieces, and then I just assembled it. So I made basically like a little box that's shaped like the radio. Then I did put a piece of cardboard in the middle just to keep it from like being squishy, basically, just to give it a little bit of extra structure and to keep it from like being squishable, if you will. Then I cut out some pieces of craft foam. This is just really basic craft foam from Michael's. You can get at like any dollar store. It's not like the heavy duty stuff. It's just meant for arts and crafts. So I cut all the various pieces out. I covered the box with all these pieces of craft foam and then started assembling all the various pieces on top of that. So I just basically layered everything up. And after I covered the cardboard, I just started layering all the extra pieces on top of that. So I started with these, I don't know what you want to call them, these like stripes, if you will. Then what I did is I just started cutting out all the various pieces out of the picture and used those as a pattern, and I just stacked everything on top of each other. And here's what it looked like once I was finished. Then I primed everything using Mod Podge just to fill up all the pores of the foam because it's a very porous material. And then I just started painting everything with acrylic paint. Then to add some dimension, I took some black paint and just kind of added dimension where you can see it in the actual reference pictures. You know, some shading to make it look a little bit more three-dimensional. Then I added some highlights and some scratches because the actual Roxy Talkie has all these white scratches everywhere. So I just took some white acrylic paint and put them all over. Then I just finished painting everything up and adding scratches around the sides and the back, and that is it. So now, without any further ado, it's time for the final reveal. So wrap up thoughts on this cosplay. It took only a day, like less than a day, to make the sweater, and then just like a couple other days of just like painting and like waiting for the paint to dry on the Roxy Talkie. So like overall it took about 3 days, not even, to make this cosplay, and I'm really impressed by that. I mean, it is a very simple outfit, but it's still like, feel good about it. I feel really good about how this cosplay came together. I don't have any regrets at all, really. Like it all seems good. It all seems good. I have no notes. I have no notes for myself. I feel really good, especially given that this was just like a fun little pick-me-up project. I think it served its purpose. I'm really happy with how it came together. There's nothing that I really feel kind of wasn't made as well as it could have been. Like it all feels good. We love it when that happens. It's very rare that happens, but we're happy when it happens. That's it. Usually I have like a full like wrap-up thoughts outro, but I don't have that today because we're feeling good about ourselves. We're feeling happy. We're feeling accomplished. It's good. I hope this video was entertaining or helpful or informative or whatever these videos are supposed to be. I don't know. I hope you were able to take something away from it and that it brought you joy in some capacity, because that's the hope. And yeah, anyway, feel free to let me know what your thoughts on Ruin are. I personally am very sad that the Pizzaplex is in ruin right now, because I love the Pizzaplex so much. That's like one of my favorite video game environments like of all time is the Pizzaplex. Like I love the vibe, I love the creativity, I love just the concept of the Pizzaplex, and the fact that it has like gone to ruin makes me so sad. Also, I want more Vanessa. I know that this DLC was not about her, and that's totally fair. That's totally fine. But like, part of me hoped that she would like show up in some capacity. But that's okay. That's for a future game, hopefully. And you know, I'll be reunited with my girl soon, and it will be great. Anyway, thank you so much as always for hanging out and watching and all that good stuff. I'll see you guys all next time. But until then, Panda Faces, please be sure to take care. Bye.